Hey friends, how's it going? My name's Miriam and I'm a poet and I'm sitting in an armchair, hence the armchair poet. Now, I've been thinking lately, I'm trying to have my drink while we talk, about, a lot of things, which is good, but one of the thoughts that's been going around my head is how Jesus related to women. So I've been looking at some of the stories in the Bible about how Jesus related to women and what we learn from them. And so I wrote this piece kind of based on some of those reflections. It's called The Kingmaker, and I finished it yesterday, so it's still very fresh. It goes like this. I've been thinking on the story of Matthew 26. I've been thinking of a woman anointing Jesus' head in the house of Simon the leper. I've been thinking about power. Now the house, I'm assuming, and it is an assumption, would have been poor. Most lepers lived unemployable, outcasts, unable to live or work with others anymore, so I imagine Jesus in humble surrounds. All the more impact of this story then. Jesus reclined at low table, feet stretched out behind him at an angle, and women moving laughingly throughout the room, setting out food, drink, tea, and coffee, as was and is tradition. Tradition! Tradition! Now one woman, one of the many moving around, approaches, not with a pot of tea, platter of sweets, or aromatic coffee, but rather with fragile alabaster flask. Stone so fine as to be translucent, liquid gold, richard perfume scent, she pauses, delicate jar in hand, stands before Jesus. He looks up and sees her, fully sees her, really sees her, sees all of heart and soul, and knows her, just as he always does. She stands still, looking back at him. The busy hum falters, conversation stutters, food forgotten on plates or halfway to mouths, and no one utters a sound as men and women around the room are drawn by this moment of stillness. In the suddenly silent setting, she pulls cork from flask, thunk, and trembling only slightly, reaches out and begins to pour. One of the women gasps, and then there is more. There is palpable discomfort amongst the other guests. Judas grits his teeth to see such wealth running through his fingers as perfume runs down the face of God. Only Simon, unclean until so very recently, smiles slightly and breathes in the scent. Jesus closes his brown eyes and bows his head a little, as oil drips down hair and into beard. Divine King deity he may be, but in this moment he bows his head humbly and receives her blessing, her prophesying gift, the Lord of all of heaven and earth, unthreatened by power's inverted shift. In the tradition of Samuel, she is in this moment Kingmaker, prophet, proclaimer, and unbeknownst to her, chief and first embalmer. She weeps over his head, bowing slightly before her, tears running down like oil on her cheeks as she proclaims and anoints him king and prepares him for his burial. There are so many words by so many people about so many women. Words driven by fear, competition, control, or derision, and it can be deeply wearying. But here is Jesus, utterly unthreatened, utterly safe, utterly king. And here is woman, utterly seen, utterly empowered, utterly known, loved, forgiven. And that is why I love him. The end. There's lots of things to think about these days, lots of things to say. But perhaps I'll leave it at that. That's an important story to sit with. An important person to take note of. Whatever it is that you're thinking, or saying, worrying about, or excited about, don't forget you are fully seen and completely known and utterly loved. I'll chat to you next time. Bye.